Weekly Report number 3. The Science of Metaphysics, accelerating technical advancement in MES, manufacturing execution systems. Last week I happened to listen to a webinar from Uttunga Technologies. One of the main item which I picked it up, they have done a great job in various fields of technical advancement in IT sector, providing quite a number of support system for engineering industry. One particular item which I saw is ERP and MES being mentioned, how they are developing their programs in terms of being helpful to the industry as a whole. This is part of the I 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution. If we look at the first industrial revolution, that came with a steam engine. Number 2 came the science and mass production. If you also look into the second revolution, is mass transportation as well as mass destruction. That was the handiwork of the science and technology. The third revolution was from the digital transformation. Of course, many do quote Thomas Watson Sr. having told in 1943 as chairman of IBM that he does not look forward to more than about 5 computers all over the world plus copying machines. That was the year about which we all came to know. The first thing which I did was, after 3 years of my chartered accountancy, I happened to go through the autocoder language from IBM on IBM 1401 machine, 1401 machine. There were 2. One was at ESO in Mumbai, in India, and another at BSES. Both were of 8K machines. 8K, just amazing, complete amazing. And the whole of one wing of ESO building at Back Bay Reclamation, today it is SPCL, were fully jammed with machines. That IBM 1401 was a small machine, but the supporting devices like card readers and printers, it occupied almost everything, the whole one full wing of a ESO building. Today we have can't even imagine how anybody can create a device with just 8K. It's not possible. So the development in that particular area was outstanding in the IT area. I didn't go through that, and I had an opportunity of writing a code for inventory and as well as pay slips, salary payment. But being a chartered accountant, I thought, let me focus on my CA rather than in IT. In those days, even today, IT means income tax. And today it has become, IT means information technology. The advancement in technical advancement in information technology had been outstanding, particularly after President Bill Clinton came to India, and in his address at Hyderabad, praised the way in which the Indians have going forward on this information technology scenario. It gave a lot of boost for Indian young people, and today we are amazing number of brainy guys are sitting all over the world doing this information technology advancement. So before going to the fourth revolution, which we are talking in the industry, the third revolution, which is the digital transformation, as much as the second revolution, which talked about the mass destruction, the science gave the opportunity for the mass destruction. The third revolution, the digital transformation, gave the opportunity for cheat software. Whether it is trying to control the Volkswagen's diesel problems, or the toppling Venezuela, and as well as interrupting the presidential election 2020 in the United States. This is as good as the mass destruction of the second revolution. So we are in the cusp of the fourth revolution, and we have to necessarily take note of what we are looking at. In the fourth revolution, there are two aspects which is being done. One is the advanced technical advancement, technical direction. Number two, social change. These two are very important, and we got to really look at what happened in second and third and apply what we have to apply in this fourth revolution. So the topic which I have taken is MES, manufacturing, execution systems. While going through that and vis-a-vis my Week3 report for a company. So we look at the object. Any IT, when they go in for a MES, they look at the object. Number one, mostly, as on today, is a action process. There's already existing plant and equipment. They create the MES for betterment of productivity. That's a major role in several areas. So you have in a gross item sitting there in terms of plant and equipment. That is number one, is a physical presence. Number two is the production processes which are being put through, and number three is the interface. In the interface, we are able to look at the production process and control the various aspects. And the interface is the one which the MES systems are being put through remarkably well, and we are in good hands. The IT professionals have been doing this in comparison to any other profession. You can call a banker, banking professional, or audit profession, or medical profession, or a company manager in terms of running a organization manager. IT is the backbone of anything for the future. There's no doubt about it. And we are in the safe hands, brilliant guys. Well, you look at that and look at that interface, what we are looking at is the guys, whether ABC, that is auditor, the banker, and the company manager, is in the other side of the interface. Looking at the production process which are going to be brought about in a superior manner. That is the technical advancement we are looking at. Social change is one of the things which I want to bring about, is what the Week3 report is all about. In 170 process blocks, as you might have seen in my previous talks, 12 belong to the quantitative elements of management. 158 belong to qualitative elements of management. Among the 12, if you spot MES, it is there in one process block, which is MES, a plant and equipment, and you can call it as vistas, etc. When we go through that, is an interesting aspect comes. For example, is a continuous process industry, 3 shifts with 24/7. If you visit the factory premises in the continuous process industry, one of the most interesting aspect of the management of a plant and equipment is the logbook, particularly the 3 shifts areas where the night shift, possibly some of the senior guys may not be there, but the logbook brings about a beautiful story, and that is the one which I would like to look at. When you go through that, for the lack of a screw, a few hours of production process stops, and you have very many such items which are giving a base to the what you call variance analysis, why and what not. In the previous talk I said one major area, the fault line, lies with organization structure. The organization structure of any company as on today is with the quantitative elements. When you see in the logbook some of the areas, the next day you go and try to fight it out, possibly whether the crucial element of raw materials have not come, the electricity is not there, or some of the items vendor had not given the quality items. So these are the things, various aspects of the management which are being fought out, and minutes are being taken that okay, we will take up the matter next. That's what we arrive at. But this MES is coming out with M to M, that is machine to machine. There's many of these areas which we look at is automatically being, that is the transformation that is happening around, the advancement technology, which they say the machine to machine is going to resolve many a problem. Now, if you look at one particular case study of Bhushan Steel in India, is one of the finest modern steel plant which was executed a few years back. But what happened to them? These guys straight away went to NCLT at a point of time. That means they had abandoned the entire factory plant. A company with us about 20,000 crores turnover, with the finest steel being produced and supplied to very many of good companies like Honda and Maruti and all that. They had a problem. The problem is one of the CREAM report which I talk about, corporate governance, risk management, earnings, accounting quality and management quality. That E is the only one, quantitative elements. So when you go to that and analyze, we analyze in terms of 3 areas. That is, energy is a liberated matter. That is formula number 1 said. Then matter is where energy is waiting to happen. That is formula number 2. And the formula number 2 is the logbook. The logbook, which we look at the various problem areas of the plant, we focus on the plant. Let's not go away from that. That is a logbook which is there. What are their logbook, the formula number 2 contains? The matter where energy is waiting to happen. The energy is being sapped. You cannot get the energy, that is the formula number 3. When energy, that is the matter, when collides with the antimatter, it forms a pure energy. That antimatter is ready, but matter is ready, but the antimatter is not yet good enough until all that problem of Formula 2 is being sorted out. So the efficiency factor comes down. The efficiency of this particular Formula 2, you have 169 process blocks sitting there. So when you look at the index of inactivity of Bush and Steel until or when they went decide to go to NCLT is 169, and 169 brings down the company as a whole, despite having one of the finest and good manufacturing system, and everything would be available, and it was going, but due to any number of reasons. When we look at that mass destruction in the second, and the third revolution is cheat software. The fourth revolution, you've got to look at the cusp of the fourth revolution on these 169 process blocks. And if the software development of MES do not look at that interface and who the guys who are sitting looking at it, resolving a problem becomes the number one task. That's why Week3 Report looks at the energy factor and what is the index of inactivity in all the 169 process blocks on a daily basis. You got to resolve it. That brings about the excellence in terms of optimization. That's a goal congruence. Is not only a production plant is functioning smoothly. Every other integrated process block which has got a relevance in terms of running your organization as a whole, unless they optimize their level of performance, it may quite likely go to NCLT with all the support system that we have from the IT sector. So this is what I would like the IT sector to look into. Do not go by object. Go by the qualitative elements of management is very, very crucial for the fourth industrial revolution. That is where it brings the social change. When you have a logbook, you have a logbook not for the purpose of the factory. You are having a look at the logbook, 3 different ships in charge, the foreman, and you bring from the foot soldier, that is the bottommost guy. It is Week3 Report is created on the basis of bottom to the top, where the problem that arises for the foot soldier, for the lack of a screw, he is not able to run his department, and that is what is crucial in developing the Week3 Report for that particular team of 5 different. One is ethical and 4 fiscal responsibility team, and develops one after the other. The supervisor on the top, when each value addition goes up to the foreman level, up to the shift in charge, up to the plant in charge, and goes to the CEO, production director, and CEO, and whatnot. So you have not your balance sheet of object. You have a balance sheet of ethical assets of individuals or performance, and how and what the index of inactivity is as on today, and how it is being triggered to send it to the first formula where energy is liberated matter. You liberate the problem areas out of your production standards, which are good as far as MES is concerned, but it's not good if it is not going to take it the other 169 process blocks area. Now that is for the action process, because we see that gross plant and equipment and we try to improve upon it. But if you go to the creative process, which is again Week3 Report gives a detailed step by step, you get the benchmarks as well as the metrics in a remarkable manner. You are in a position to identify how to come into the action process, and before it how to create a quality substance. From the a creative process, all that you come across a lack of efficiency in the action process, you build in with how to create in 6 stages of creative process, coming to quality, substance of quality, and the whole entire. That's what we do in. They have done. NASA is one of the aspects of how the IT brings in the codes and all that. Recently, which has happened, which has gone to Mars, and everything is pre-planned. The speed and accuracy is the most important factor, which IT sector is capable of doing it, and they are the experts on that. So in the creative process, do not create for the future. As on today, if you look at that plant and equipment for which you are going to put these MES, manufacturing execution systems, make sure do the same thing at what the flaws are there in the plant and equipment, which would have been possibly looked into more deeply during the time of construction. All that had to be taken care, then action process becomes much easier. Number 2, you got to include the 170 process blocks, quantitative as well as qualitative, on the subject object of qualitative elements taken by return on intangible. So when you look at that second formula, where all that which are index of inactivity of various factors which are being put into in the from the logbook. Today it could be electronic, but the logbook is very important from the days of like in shipping, from the day of Captain Cook. It had been they were organized. Even today they are organized. So the logbook for the manufacturing industry is the most important item. Now, the cream report, 170 process blocks are of 2 in nature. It's a matrix. One by process block, that is what is the progress or in terms of performance. Performance of the process block is the matrix by the individual, the teams who are running it, and that is by the individuals. So if you look at that shift in charge, there are 3, assuming there are 3 shifts, and you have 3 different cream report come for that particular shift and particular day. 3 different cream report comes, which gives the team may be different. Definitely it is different from one team to the other, and that particular logbook report and the cream report gives how the individuals have contributed. Now, to give an explanation how it would apply, say, aircraft industry. In the aircraft, in the planes, we had that flight, I would say, just like manufacturing execution systems, we had a flight execution systems which came into being in the third revolution, where the flight engineer, that is the MTM, all that had been given to the pilots. The flight engineer had been made redundant in flights. From the takeoff stage, it has been running for several years now. So MES for the manufacturing industry is much easier as far as IT sector is concerned, but it's more difficult for the companies who follow only the organizational structure, which is of quantitative elements. Is a qualitative elements of management, which is cream report provides for, is very essential and crucial for productivity increase. That is the social change of the fourth revolution. Let me also make a mention about the two incidents, because manufacturing execution systems have got the complete record of each and every person. That is how it is being built up. That is how the performance is being analyzed. That is where the index of inactivity for the process block as well as the inactivity of any single individual had not performed to the optimum level of performance. Either you change the person or you improve that person, but you got to have the optimized level of performance, which is the triggering factor from formula number 3 to formula number 2 to shift it to formula number 1, where is a liberated matter. That is the whole principle of Cream report. If you look at that another area, when we talk on the talk of these planes and all that, we know that Malaysian airline 370 plunged into darkness, and as on today nobody knows what really triggered the whole thing. See, the problem is the guy who was in the pilot, the number 1 pilot, was had put on about nearly 19,000 flying hours, and half of it is nearly the same type of aircraft, I think B777 or something. So if you apply the same logic of what we are talking about the MES to this particular aircraft or this particular person or the pilot, you have a record of the process block, which is the plane, and the resource area. The resource is the pilot. The energy area, energy input. So you have, instead of claiming that about 18,500 hours, flying hours is put on, you will have 18,500 hours of incidents of the logbook and how he had performed in the entire history of that particular pilot. Then what we are talking at the end of the day with regard to the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. We are trying to figure out what is not there on that particular night when the Malaysian 370 plunged into darkness. We will have a detailed analysis and information about the pilot as well as the aircraft he was handling. It wouldn't have come as a surprise. What if he was the person responsible for? I am not even today because we are trying to sort of a conjecture. We would have known about more information. That is a Cream report. Cream report is for the individual. If you put that the same thing for 737 MAX, where evidence was available, the black box was found out. The Indonesian Airlines was the first one to do that, and the Ethiopian Airlines followed suit. Now we are looking at the aircraft. Both have crashed on land. We have the information available, but what we do not have is the logbook of the pilots. That particular area, one single plane might have been handled by several pilots, and each person has got the logbook, and each person either making a complaint or finding out the difficulty in detail. It must be that is what management quality about. So when you bring about that information, what you might have, again is a conjecture, that the aircraft, the flaw in the aircraft could have been brought about much earlier, before what happened to the accident, what happened after the accident. So these are the various areas that the fourth revolution has to come out, which is advanced technology and social change. When we talk of social change, we are looking into the Cream report individuals. The denominator is their individual effort. An effort per person is the most important aspect of the social change. If you go by only the quantitative elements, IT sector is very good. They have done very well in the third revolution. What they have to do, shift to some different plane in terms of accommodating, which they can very easily do, and bring about the change of social change of individuals who are doing it. Otherwise, it will be as insipid as an auditor's talking about ex post facto, or the banker doing not much about what is happening in the company. The loans are being given is individual. We have seen Nick Leeson and the other guy about $7 billion just like that gone. You have Rajaratnam coming in. How many Rajaratnams are come and go? So we have flaw. The flaw is in terms of not bringing the 170 elements. Then the company itself is there. They are not responsive. They have to be responsible for the 170 process blocks. If they are going to run the company according to their debit and credit matter, it doesn't fit into the fourth revolution. We have the capability. The capability is with the IT sector. They are the only one. Nobody else has that. So if they come forward and improve upon the MES, accommodate all the 170 process block, we are in the fourth revolution. Thank you.